Hello everyone, this is Patricia and today is Wednesday. I hope you're having a blessed day. I am here in New Brunswick, Canada. I live in Minto, and that's where we've been here a year and a half, well, almost 2 years I should say. The end of July will be 2 years that we decided to move here. Well, I guess at that time it was the only spot that we could get. We looked at so many places and prices had gone up unreasonably, but we had to purchase a place or go and get into an apartment, which we have never done, thankfully. And we had left a condo, stayed in my brother's travel trailer behind my mother's house, and we stayed there for, I believe, probably 3 or 4 months. And it's so nice to do that. We did that at one other time. We purchased a small travel trailer and took it to my mother's, and we lived there for 5 months while we were looking for a place to stay. And let me tell you, it was the most enjoyable time. Probably, let me think, we sold in 206. We moved somewhere at the, 207, 208. So in 2008, we would have been married, let me see, 72, 82, 92, 2002, 36 years. And we had always lived in our home, 31 years in our home in Kingsley, and which is about 10 miles outside of Fredericton, New Brunswick. And since we got married, this was the most comfortable, because our children, sorry, I'm stopping myself. After our children had all gone, the youngest being 18 and was out on her own, we had spent this time alone in a small place. No TV. We had a small one, but with no TV, and we would try to cook meals, but Mother, of course, always loved to have company, so she would call and say, "Supper's ready." And I'm so thankful to have had those times with her. She's been gone. Let me see, she passed in 2016, so this is 8 years in June, and I miss those times with her. Talking to her, just doing things with her, traveling with her, taking her places, and just enjoying our time together. Going to places like Prince Edward Island, where she has a granddaughter, and we would visit there quite often throughout the years. I was so blessed to have her in my life and doing things with me, because my husband worked away for our New Brunswick power plant and all over the New Brunswick province, cutting. He drove a large hydroaxe machine which cut bushes, and at one time he went over Side Hill, because they have to do everything. They can't cross waterways. They have to find another road to get to it, and because they don't want the fisheries and game don't want that the waterways destroyed for the wildlife and for the fish, and that's understandable. And so anyway, so this one time, Zane had gone over a bank. Another time he had a fire in his machine, and he had to jump out, of course. But anyway, he had at first been cutting with a power saw, and sorry, flies in front of my face. He had been cutting with a power saw, and then got blessed to get a job inside of a machine where he could cut, and the other men would cut around the poles and stuff. So we would visit him from time to time, my son and I at the time, and a few times our oldest daughter, who was teenager at that time. But anyway, we were blessed to be able to go and visit him. A lot of times the company would because they stayed at these hotels often, would be given coupons for a stay for their family at some point in time. So a lot of times I would, sorry, bugs, I would get the coupons and be able to stay overnight, and that was great. So I could follow him around the province every once in a while and stay in a hotel, whether it be with a pool or not. But to be able for my children to, my youngest and my oldest, to stay and see their dad. Today, I started my day about 8:30, and still got some things left to do. I've got plants still here on the deck. I have been planting in my garden. Now I've been looking around, and there hasn't been a whole lot coming. Now I did go out today. We only had rain yesterday. For the past few weeks we haven't had any. And when I go out and put water on it, because of the heat, it dries up the soil so quickly. But just the rain yesterday popped up those beans I had planted, and I see some of the potatoes starting to sprout, having little flowers, not flowers, but the greenery coming through the soil. Now I don't see a lot, and if I have to, I'll plant more potatoes. I'm not a gardener, as I've said before. I am just trying to do my best at this, and hopefully, Lord willing, I'll get some produce from it. Let me just turn some of the things which I am needing to put in. I think I'm going to do these in containers, where the other ones are just in beds in our garden boxes that my husband made. So that is some of the ones that I've still got to plant, and some of those will go into, most of those will go into into container boxes. I'm going to stand up and get away from that critter that's following me. So it is another beautiful sunny day, and I have got the beds watered, and I have got the beds watered, and what else? I went around and took some pictures of my flowers, which I absolutely love. I love the beauty that God has given us, whether it be the leaves on the trees when they start sprouting, or my lilacs. Now I have lilacs that flower twice a year. Do you know what they're called? They're not the normal ones, the big, beautiful ones. You know which ones I mean. They only flower once a year, but mine flowers twice a year. Right now they're all starting to open, and so there's just a few of them that have opened so far, but within this week they'll be wide open, and probably in the next couple of days. Actually, I think that rain helped them as well. And my bleeding heart is coming really good. And what else? Oh, my lupins. I got a pink one, and I have a blue one. My brother I love mayflowers, and as a child, we used, not mayflowers, I love mayflowers too. But these are, let me think what it's called. I'll come back to that in a moment. Okay, anyway, we'll go on. Yeah, I might have to talk about that another day and show you a picture of it. But anyway, I've got another beautiful flower out there, and it's like an orchid. It's a lady slipper. There you go. And it's a pink lady slipper. I thought I had a yellow one, but it's a pink one. Now, pink are hard to find. When I was a little child, behind my mom's house, we would play in the woods, and there would be many. They would be yellow and white and pink lady slippers, but a lot of pink. Now you're lucky if you see a pink. Well, my brother dug up a few, and I planted them. Now one has the flower on it, the other one doesn't. So next year, Lord willing, I'll have another flower on that as long as I'm here. They are absolutely beautiful, and again, It's something that brings me back to my childhood and the beauty I seen. Now, there were a lot of trilliums that were just, they were everywhere, trilliums, purple trilliums. And I don't hardly see them anymore. We walked around in behind Mom's house here 2 years ago. Me and my sister-in-law and I, if I want to be proper with my English, I used to help at the school and mark their work in English. So, yeah, they, she and I went around behind Mom's house in the wooded area, and we must have walked in there through an acre of ground, and hornet was around me, sorry, and didn't see one, not one. So anyway, that's another thing to look for. I don't really want them. I have my lady slipper, which I'm thankful for, and I just can't wait for my garden to grow so I can show you that most of this work was mine, other than Zane, who built those lovely boxes. And I'm going to show those lovely boxes he's got in the garden. He's got all these lovely garden boxes. Now, they are, a couple of them are way too close to get through, so that's a little harder to plant. But possibly next year, if we're here, we'll just make that the fence around it a little bit wider, and maybe move one or two of them just a bit. So that would be good. That'll be a great help for me to get them so that they're not so far too close together. Again, my deck, they are, you go up to see them. I have some tomato plants. Now they're kind of small. I wanted a little bit bigger than those. And there are some pepper plants. And this is a type of basil, and that's a lavender. That's a bean, and this is a melon, I think. I'm not sure. Can't remember. And again, I think that's a cucumber. Well, let me see. That says it's a squash. These must be. Let me see what these say they are. Oh, they say buttercup squash. Well, there you go. And some more tomatoes. And these are dying, so those will be thrown out and put into the compost. So that's what I have there so far. So far, so good, right? I think I'll take my chair and bring it over here in the shade. Sorry about that. Moving around and moving around. There we go. See how green everything is from the rain yesterday? It's amazingly gorgeous. Just have to love it, right? Just have to love it. Those beautiful trees. Oh, I'm kind of a crazy lady, but this is just the things that I love. And I hope you enjoy it too. If you've never been to Canada, it's a beautiful spot, and New Brunswick is beautiful too. Now, I haven't been a whole lot of places. Now, my husband has been right across Canada. And I flew to Calgary because my mom's baby sister lives out there, who's a year younger than I am. And I've been out there once. And I've been to Ontario to visit aunts and uncles a couple of times. Other than that, I have not been across Canada at all. And I guess Zane and I drove to visit our daughter when she lived in Hamilton, Ontario at one point, when her young fellow was just maybe 4 or 5 years old, and she stayed for a few years. And so that was good to go there and come back and be able to travel on that 401, which I'm not real keen on driving on. I like back highways with less traffic. I know you can probably go faster the other way, but a lot of tolls as well. As you know, down in the United States, when I go down to visit my one of my best, she's my best friend, in Wolfboro, New Hampshire, which is a resort town and absolutely beautiful. It has mountains on one side. You can go up to a place called Mansion in the Sky or Castle in the Sky. Look that up. It is just outside of Wolfboro, New Hampshire. It's a beautiful, beautiful spot. And you can eat there, but you walk through and you see this beautiful old castle. And she lives right on the water, not right on the water. She's like 3 minutes from the water. She lives in a condo, and she moved in there after her husband passed away, again in 2016. He died with Parkinson's and cancer at the age of, he was really young, 69, I believe. And anyway, so she has the most beautiful, beautiful condo. You could probably put 2 of my houses in hers, because mine's just, it's not huge, it's not small. It has a small garage with 2 bays. We use 1 bay for my freezers. I have 3 freezers. And to put all some of my canned goods and all my other things that I don't have room for in the house. They stay there. But anyway, her condo is amazingly big. Amazingly. I've never seen a condo that big. And so she's purchased it, and I don't know what her condo fees are, but I know when mine went up to $500 a month, I got out of it. Now down there, you probably pay more for these condo fees, and maybe you know what I'm talking about. I just didn't like the rules in a condo. Anyway, I just thought I would stop by and say hello to you. And please, please, like, subscribe, and share if you'd like to your friends. If they'd like to hear an old lady or see an old lady. I definitely don't mind. And I will tell you that I did my study today, and it takes me almost an hour to do. It's called Disciples Cross, Discipleship, Disciples Cross maybe, but it's through Master something. And anyway, I'm only on the 2nd week. It took me almost 2 weeks to do the first complete lesson, because you do 1 a day for 5 days. And I find that I don't even get into the scripture that I was reading. I was into Isaiah, because I like to go through from beginning to end and do Old Testament, then New Testament, and then sometimes just do all of the New Testament again. But I usually start at Psalms and Proverbs, because they are so amazing. They, all your feelings that you have, they're spoken about in the Psalms. And Proverbs gives you such wisdom and knowledge from a wise old man named Solomon. And if we'd only listen and learn, right, and be obedient to it. That's something I want to do. I am not, because a lot of times, do you know something? It's all about me. It's how I feel, and I don't want it to always be that way. I want to trust, hear, like when I'm reading and when I'm learning, glean it, and obey. Just help me, Lord, to do that, because I would like to have His light shining through me. And a lot of times it doesn't. It's Patricia shining through Patricia. And many years ago, my husband tells me I'm mellowing out. Well, isn't that wonderful? I'm mellowing out, he says. Well, darling dear. Yes, I might be, I guess. And I just, having cancer 3 times, I think has helped me to, probably the 2nd time I had cancer, when I was 53. Because with the first cancer, I was on a drug, and it caused me to be depressed for 31 years, the whole time I was on it. So I went off it. I finally just went off it. And I think that's what it was, because I was not very nice at some points in time. And any, anyway, and I had to be the mom who disciplined because he was away. And, and I'm sad about that because my kids don't like me. And they didn't, probably a lot. I know there was times when I was a teenager I was upset with my mom and I thought she was so mean and that she didn't love me. But I found out many years after I was married that we love our children as parents. We want the best for our children. We don't want them to go through the things we went through. We're trying to protect them. And they won't see that until they're older as well. But I've done my best. And it wasn't always good. And I own up to that. And I hope they understand that. I was always one to tell my children that I love them every day. And because that wasn't something that Mama told us. And I guess it has to go with how you're raised. You know, Mom had 9 other siblings and her. And I'm sure Grammy couldn't go around and go, I love you, I love you, I love you, to 10 different children. She was busy doing things. And then when the children got older, then I know Mom left school in grade 8. And my dad left school in grade 7, but he was so smart mathematically. And Mom left school in grade 8 to work with a lady who had a child who was disabled mentally. And so she would stay with him while his mom worked for a while. She did that, I guess, for a while. And then she went out of the city and stayed in St. John, New Brunswick, which is about 55 miles from Fredericton. And she would stay there and house clean for people. She's looked after women who were pregnant and had few children and would stay there with them until they recuperated after the birth of their children. And she did things like that. And that was her. That was, and she worked at a co-op where she plucked chickens and before they were put on display in the grocery stores. I worked at the co-op, but I did making ice cream. Yeah. And popsicles. So when I was doing that, I could take a bite of the popsicle and throw the other piece out. And that was a fun job. And I worked there making sure the strawberries were good when they came through on the conveyor belt. And made sure they were clean. And I would set them forth. And the other ones you would take out and throw. But it was when I did the ice cream as well, I would do the great big pails of ice cream. And I would do the little tubs of ice cream, right? And which were 10 cents at the time when I was doing them. But they're not 10 cents anymore. Just like a McDonald's hamburger was 25 cents. A Big Mac was, I think, 40. And you couldn't put your mouth around it. Now today you can buy a Big Mac and you'd have to have 2 of them so you wouldn't be able to put your mouth around it. And possibly 3. And a heck of a lot more. So that just shows, I wish the kids could have had that. We could buy, when Mother got milk from the milkman, or things like you would get 5 cents out of the glass milk bottle, we would take it to the store and you come back with about 20 pieces of candy. Yeah, a lot of candy. You can't even buy penny candy. I don't know whether you can in your country, but not in mine. Anyway, the fun times. Yeah. Anyway, I am going to sign off for now. Bless you. May God keep you. And please, if you have any prayers, talk to me. If you've got concerns in your life, you won't scare me. I've probably seen most of it and been through a lot of it. And I'm here. I care. And my heart goes out to those who are going through hard times. I was just called today that from Ontario that my first cousin has a son who is in his probably 30. He has 2 children that he's looking after. One of the parents is, you know how bad this world is going crazy. One of his, the parents of, I believe, the second child wants to become, she's trying to find herself apparently. She wants to change her identity. She is, anyway, she wants to be a man, not a woman. And so she's out of this child's life. She's down in the United States. And the other woman probably would take her child back, but then she wouldn't let Billy, young Billy, have visitation. So Billy had to take it to court and get this child back and be able to have time with this child. But this, if you're a prayer warrior, please pray for this young man named Billy. He has some addictions that he needs help with, and he's crying for help. His dad was asking where he could go. If I, in any way, would have any insight on that. And I don't, but I believe you can go to a counselor. You can go to a pastor. If they're willing to listen and to help and to send you in the right direction. That's what I was telling him. And we have a place here called Village of Hope for drug addicts, for those who have alcohol. They're an alcoholic, and they stay, like you and I could support them, like give like $1,000 for the time that they're there. And they teach them, they have a woodworking and cutting and sawing. They build all their buildings. They build all their chalets that the young men and women, they're divided, and they stay in. Their kitchen upstairs and down. And they had a thing here probably 2 months ago where outsiders could pay like $14 to go for breakfast. Pancake, juice, your tea, coffee, your maple syrup. They make their own maple syrup and sell it. So the young men know how to do that, and women, and just how to build a house. They're learning how to do all these things. And I just find it so amazing, because being an addiction, having an addiction, you know yourself that they're not out there working because they can't, because all they can think about is their addiction. And this young man that I'm talking about is paying his rent, is looking after his children, is buying his groceries, and any food that's left over, he spends it on alcohol or something. And I just pray for this young man, that because he's at his wit's end, he wants a different lifestyle for himself and his family, and he's crying out. But how can he leave these 2 children unless somebody would take them and love them and help him go and just keep these 2 children until he got back and on his feet again? And that's what he needs. That's really what he needs. So if you would pray for this man here in New Brunswick, I would be so thankful. And praying for the salvation of my children is a concern in my own heart, and that I pray that the Lord would not let his word go void, because they learned scripture, and they learned scripture and scripture in the school that they went to. And at the beginning they only learned a few verses, but as they went on in the school they learned 5 to 10 verses a month. So they learned a lot of scripture. Now they did learn it, and at the end of the year sometimes they would recite every verse of scripture they learned. So God says in his word that his word will not go void. So I pray that for my children. and that are not living for the Lord. And I pray for them every day, that they would awaken, their eyes would be opened, that they would hear God's voice through their ears and in their heart, that they would have a heart that is flesh, not stone, so that they would be open to the moving of the Spirit of God in their lives, their spouses, their children, and their grandchildren. So I will pray for you, and you pray for me, like that beautiful song there is. You pray for me, and I'll pray for you. Down on my knees. Yeah, I'll do that. So please, again, like, so that YouTube knows that this is something that you would like to see. You would subscribe. Again, that shows them. And share with your son, your daughters, maybe some older lady who just needs somebody to love them. And I will. I will be a friend to those who have no friends, or to people who just need somebody else to hear them out and to listen. So God bless each and every one of you this beautiful Wednesday afternoon. Have a great day, and we'll see you again. Bye-bye for now.